Hello, Adrian. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Cindy. I've been looking forward to this for months.
I was so excited to meet you at Hack Your Health, and you were talking to Wendy by that RV, and she had come up. She said, "Oh, you need to have Cindy on too. She's had gastric bypass." So we'll get into that later about that subject for sure. But that's a part of the description where I said people need to hear all of this, because you and I both had some bad experiences with that.
Yeah.
But I am so excited for you to be here and tell your story. And for those that may not know, this is Adrian Gledhill, past performer, past participant of Biggest Loser season 3. And I can't even imagine. I've watched that show. I can't imagine doing it. It wore me out just watching it. It was wild. So that's whew, I can't imagine. That's intense. It has to be.
hmm
So
It was a
Dustin
wild
up
ride.
yeah, I guess Dustin updated his membership. Thank you, Dustin. This is Kay saying good evening. This is Karen. Did you get to meet her at
Yes.
KPL? Yes.
And
Karen
I
and her
met
sister
them
Treese.
at in Chicago. I met them.
Oh, yes, that's right. Hi, Cindy. Adrian driving, but listening. They are the sweetest girls. This is Lynn and Sean saying good evening. Lisa Ortega. Heidi Ho, gang. Hi, Adrian and Cindy and Jeff Foltz. Hello, everyone. What are the things I should know? We will get there, buddy. We will get there. So, Adrian, I went through Biggest Loser for a reason. And then from there ongoing, the floor is yours, honey. And if anybody has any questions, I will put this banner up and please go for it.
First, I want to just apologize that I probably have horrible audio, visual, all the things. We're in the middle of moving, and um, in the stress of everything, I forgot to schedule a babysitter. So we're probably going to have littles running in here, making noise and craziness. But I'm very blessed that throughout all of my struggle, which is health, which is weight, which is mental, I've been able to have children. I've been able to get married. I've been able to be a mom. And so I'm just very, very grateful for the whole journey. And do I just start from the beginning?
Sure. We've
um
got as much time as you've got. We'll just do
there's
that.
it's recently a thought recently came to my mind of what if I ever, and I mean, so part of my story is definitely weight loss. I mean, I was on the Biggest Loser for Pete's sake,
Right.
but a big part of where I am now is all about healing. It's all about getting
Mm.
my brain back, getting my energy back, getting my hormones back, and just being able to function as a human being. But as far as weight, I recently dawned on me like, what if I ever hit my goal? I watched, I'm sure
Mhm.
most of us here are big fans of the two crazy ketos, Joe and Rachel.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been following them for the past 2 years. And they had an episode about throwing the scale out. I don't know if you guys
Mhm.
remember, they had gone on like their first cruise or their second cruise, and they cried and talked about the scale and how they
Oh, she
finally hit their
bawled her
goal.
eyes out. Yep.
Yes, and how like it was time to stop focusing on the scale. And I just thought to myself, never in my life has that been a thing for me. When I was a baby, I mean, when I was a toddler, they were already putting me on a diet. They were already restricting my food. They were already scolding me for eating too much. And I already had this insatiable hunger. And when I look back, I feel sad about telling a child to stop eating even though they're still
Mhm.
hungry. And
Right.
I that just like kind of breaks my heart. And so I have a child that really is struggling metabolically, and people say that to him, and I'm grateful for the journey because I say, please don't say that to my child. He deserves to be full. He deserves to be nourished. He putting thoughts in his head that he's the reason he is the way he is when he's eating better than all of his family and friends. That's nuts. So anyway,
Right.
so my whole life, this has been a struggle. The weight. When I was in high school, there was a lot of anxiety, like
Mhm.
incredible amounts of anxiety. I'm going to break something here, okay? I've never told this story. I was on the yearbook committee, and my senior year, I was the editor of the yearbook, and we had a voting thing. I can't believe
Mhm.
I'm telling you. I've never told anybody this.
This is exciting.
I got voted the most anxious in the class, and I didn't want to be that. So I gave it to someone else.
Oh no.
Oh, but what I'm saying this for though really
Mhm.
isn't anything except that I not only was I anxious, but everybody around me could just sense my anxiety. And
Right.
when I went into college, I guess maybe so in high school to ease the anxiety, I just kept working out constantly. I was in soccer, cross country skiing, which is an amazing sport, by the way.
I
Uh,
bet.
Golf, track and field, basketball. So some seasons I would double up, some seasons I was switching things around. Uh, but I was always moving, and it was often like I would work out in the morning and I would have an afternoon workout. There was a lot of two-a-days. Like I was working out hard. And then I was doing my best
Mhm.
to restrict, but I didn't know anything about I thought you just needed to like eat in moderation. And I thought
Mhm.
like orange juice was healthy because it's from a fruit.
Yep.
I I had no idea about bread. And so I would eat one piece of bread with butter on it, and it was just so good that the whole loaf would be gone. And this would happen so often that people called me Adrian Bread Cordesmacki is my maiden name. And so I kind of would sabotage myself, I guess, with all this processed sugar,
Mhm.
basically. I wasn't necessarily sitting and eating candy bars because I knew that wasn't bad, but I could down a pitcher of orange juice, and I had no idea that was bad for you. Um, and then I could eat like a whole loaf of bread. I had no idea. I don't even know if I ate meat, if meat even mattered. I don't remember, but
Now
with
that's
you,
where we differed there so far. Is I loved meat, but the bread and the juice is like I'm right there with you. It's like wow. Yep.
yeah, another little piece in here is that when I was growing up from 0 to 10, I was in a very old, like 120-year-old shack
Mhm.
on a crawl space on a lake. And so it was moldy and old. It was so old that we tore it down and built a new house when I was 10. Coincidentally, when I was 10 is also when I stopped struggling as much with weight. And so moving into a new house, I didn't realize it then, but that made a big difference on a lot of things in my life. So then I move into the moldy old dorms and I gained 60 pounds.
Wow.
And and as a 18-year-old, I didn't have access to a lot of alcohol, so we really can't just blame it on drinking because I went to a small private school. I went to St. Olaf. Uh,
Mhm.
if anybody watched The Golden Girls, that's where
Yes.
what's her name went there. Rose. Rose went to
Rose.
St. Olaf. I went to St. Olaf, and so we didn't have access, and I was hanging out with a bunch of good kids, like real
Mhm.
studious good kids. But I gained like 60 pounds. I went home for the summer and I went on Atkins with my stepmom, and I lost some weight. And this is where I was like, okay, if I clean up what I eat and I work hard, I can lose weight. But the second I went to college, which I switched then to a party college, the University of North Dakota, uh,
Mhm.
then I just gained it all back. And so I was just really, really struggling. And then like one of these summers in here, I ended up going to Europe and studying abroad in the Czech Republic. And then I went and lived with a family in Slovakia. And I didn't have any clothes. And it was so hot, and they don't have like a ton of air conditioning over there. So I needed new clothes. And this
Right.
is when I felt like really icky because there wasn't anything that I could wear. I couldn't find anything. So I come back and I find out about the TV show The Biggest Loser. And I had a dream that I was going to be on the show, and it was vivid. Like it was so vivid that for much of my life I thought it was God telling me in my dream that I want to say God was in my dream and he said, "You're going to be on The Biggest Loser." And so I went to an open casting call. I didn't hear
Wow.
anything. I back then we didn't have, like, guys, I was on there a long time ago. I was only 21. and now I'm 40. So this is like a long time ago. This is kind of like talking about high school, how you went to the state championship, you know, and you're 60 years old. I'm just kidding. Okay, anyway, um, I sent in a I sent in a VHS video, and somehow I got picked. And I was very successful on the show. If you have any questions about it, I'm happy to talk about it. I love talking about that show because we all loved that show. We were all inspired by that show, and we all thought if we just work hard enough, look at those people, we can be them.
Mhm.
And I lost, I think, 66 pounds. But the second I got home, it just piled on so quickly. And it
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was really sad because, I was this overweight person pretty much my whole life. And then everybody was just so inspired and excited about this opportunity I had. And it was on national TV, and like hundreds of, I don't know how many people used to watch. Back then, we only had like 10 channels, so everybody watched it.
It's not that old.
It was in 2006, so cable did exist, but it wasn't like it is today.
Right.
You'd have a hard time finding as many viewers today as back then, I think. But so when I gained my weight back, even 10 pounds, I just felt so much shame. Like, look at what I threw away. And I just hid. And I didn't go back to my hometown for like 10 years because
Wow.
I didn't want anybody to see me and be, horrified that I had gained this weight back. And there was just so much like, I'm a failure and I did this to myself. And, you know, I, yeah. So,
Mhm.
so after that, I went on, got married, had 2 children. The second child, I ended up with preeclampsia, and I end up at 330 pounds. And that's when I stopped weighing myself because my blood pressure would go up when I would see that number.
Yeah.
So I stopped weighing myself at 330. And after that baby, I'm like, I have to go back to running and restricting. So I would say I was essentially starving myself. I had probably 900 to 1200 calories a day, just like Biggest Loser. And I started training for half marathons. I don't think there was any lifting
Wow.
involved. And I lost 100 pounds. I got down to 230 pounds. But then it started going back up again. And I
Mhm.
was like, I can't do this again. I've worked so hard twice now, 3 times, however many times. I've worked so hard. I can't be 330 pounds again. And I had seen some Biggest Losers. And so I asked them, how do you guys, I saw some losing their weight and keeping it off. I said, how do you guys do that? And they said gastric bypass. So you do your research, you Google, and it says
Wow.
gastric bypass is the number one way to get your weight off and keep it off. And I'm like, that's what I need.
Wow.
So I had that. And uh, I honestly struggled. I think for a few months, I did lose some weight. And I want to say like 165 is a sticky point for me. In high school, I was 165. Uh, Biggest Loser, 165. Gastric bypass, 165. But every time I hit that, I would start going back up. So
Mhm.
even with gastric bypass, I hit 165, I was immediately 175, and then trying not to be 195. So, like for 10 years, I was low carb and exercising and between 175 and 195.
Right.
I have some more babies, and I end up over 200. No, you got to go watch that in the other room, buddy. You got to go watch that in the other room, okay? No. He's very
It's life.
confident.
You're good.
So, when I before I came to carnivore, I had been low carb, very low carb for probably 10 years. Hold on one
Mhm.
sec. Bud, you really have to watch that in a different room. Unless I got turned down.
Life does happen on our channels.
We are improvising here, sorry. Uh
It's okay. I can barely hear whatever he's watching. So
oh good. Oh good.
it's good.
Uh so I had to be low carb. I don't know about you, but ever since I've had gastric bypass, I've had horrible, debilitating hypoglycemia. And it's like it sits underneath my skin all the time. And at any point, I could tip over. At any
Mhm.
point. And what's weird is I've been told, oh, you should just test your blood sugar. The thing is I have a half a second notice. I'm fine. And half a second later, I'm shaking, sweating, want to throw up and pass out.
Yep.
It's quick. It's not something you can, to me, there's no way I could stop it. So the first thing
Right.
they told me at the doctor's office was that I needed to eat sugar, and they gave me like a roll of sugar pills that I should just keep with me and take it anytime my blood sugar dropped. And I quickly learned that was a bad idea because my blood sugar would come back up and then it would dive right back down. And so
Right.
it's just this roller coaster for 10 years. So for 10 years, I've been my entire mission with my food. Yeah, it was to lose weight too, but it was mostly to stop the hypoglycemia. So first I cut all grains. I don't think I had many after gastric bypass anyway, but that was the first thing to go was the grains, the sugar. Obviously, there was no sugar after surgery anyway. Then I start cutting fruit, then I start cutting, uh, different vegetables, and I just cut, 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 cut. And it just still, the hypoglycemia was just still sitting there. And
What year did you have your bypass?
I'm going to go with 2013,
Okay.
but it was either 2013, 2014, 2013, I think, as my daughter was born in 2012. And it was after that. So, yeah, so we're now 11 years past my surgery.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it's cutting, cutting, cutting. I'm also still up and down with my weight, struggling with anxiety, struggling with binge eating, struggling with energy. I had no energy at all. I also had some fertility issues. Like I struggled to get pregnant with my kids, and then I didn't have milk with any of my kids. And I just want to say, I'm sorry if nobody wants to hear this, but just like we are told, eat less, move more, and if you try it hard enough, it'll work. I'm sorry, it's the same with nursing. If milk isn't coming out and you're nursing and you're nursing and you're nursing and you're pumping 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 and no milk comes out, it's not because you didn't try hard enough.
Mhm.
It's because there's something going on. Maybe it's inflammation, maybe it's autoimmune, maybe you have anemia. There is something underlying, and it's not a lack of nursing. Like cluster feeding around the clock for 6 months, not normal. I mean, and this is what I was being told by doctors and lactation people. And they told me that for 3 kids. And it wasn't until the fourth kid that I actually got help. But anyway, so
Wow.
this last kid, I birthed him at home because I want to have milk, and I was just told I just didn't do it natural enough. That's why I didn't have milk with the first three. I just wasn't natural enough. So I birthed him at
Whoa.
home. We stayed skin to skin. I had all the earthly supplements. I had all my food pre-made. It was dairy free, gluten free, sugar free, chemical free. Basically, it was a whole bunch of stews in the refrigerator or in the freezer,
Mhm.
and I still didn't have milk. And I also had caught the bad virus. And with the bad virus, I'd ended up with pneumonia on all sides of my lungs. And at the end of my pregnancy, it was bad enough that they were telling me they were going to put me on a ventilator and C-section my baby out. And I
Oh
didn't,
no.
before letting them do that, because I had heard the stories of the moms going on the vent and never coming off. Before doing that, I crawled myself out of that hospital and I asked for help from another opinion. And I don't know. I also took monoclonal antibodies, and if anybody out there knows about them, I'd love to know. Like, are we gonna grow a sixth ear? I don't know. That's all that they offered us. It was either they
Wow.
told me to take my vaccine and get my monoclonal antibodies, and I was like, I'm not going to do that while I'm pregnant and I already have the virus. But so that, and then I was like,
Wow.
but, and then the antibodies problem was that it directly said on there, this has never been tested on pregnant women. Never. And so the first time that they offered it, because I was sick for a long time, I said, no, no way, no way. And the second time, I mean, I was on my deathbed. I couldn't breathe. I was green. I was sunken in. I had lost 12 pounds in my third trimester. I was very sick. And
Wow.
so, and that's all that they offered. They wouldn't give me an IV of vitamins. They wouldn't give me steroids. They wouldn't give me anything that rhymes
Wow.
with ivermectin. They wouldn't give me anything except the mm, and the monoclonal antibodies. So I did end up taking the monoclonal antibodies. I also went home and got the other things from a functional medicine doctor. And within 2 weeks, I was feeling better, but I was never the same after that. And so when I come, I'm sorry for rambling. When I
You're
come into
good.
carnivore, it's in absolute desperation because at this point, you guys, I can't drive. When I start driving, I get really lethargic. Like 5, 10 minutes into driving, like incredible lethargy. Like it's 10 degrees outside. I've got the windows open, the air conditioning blowing at me, and I'm slapping myself in the face, and I'm trying not to fall asleep while driving. The
Wow.
lethargy was so bad. And then I my arms and legs would go numb. Every time I ate, I got sick. Every time I was getting food reactions, I was having terror. And this is like the most heartbreaking because I'll never forget it because it happened every single night. I would clench my
Mm.
babies and we would sit on the floor because for some reason, if we sat in the chair, we were going to die. And I would just clench them and pray to God not to take my babies away. And then I would have these intrusive thoughts like, because we have to drive over a bridge where we live and that we were just going to fall off the bridge somehow and die. And it was
Oh
just
no.
it was honestly, it was hell. I was stuck in hell and I didn't want to tell anybody because I thought that they would think I was nuts, and they did. And I found out what it was later, but anyway, and I'm not nuts, not in that way
No,
anyway.
you're not.
um what else was happening? Ah, I mean, I couldn't sleep. I was not sleeping at all, and I would stumble down the hallway because I had no balance and I couldn't even feel my feet. I couldn't feel my feet. I was having neuropathy, so I would try to exercise because I was like, wow, I'm over 200 pounds now again, and I need to exercise. And like a block into walking, my feet would start burning and tingling. um, there were times after going out to eat and I would get eggs and bacon and my neck and my stomach, my chest and my neck would go numb. And that's just creepy to not be able to feel your neck. There was this weird thing too where my head would get disconnected from the rest of my body. It was like I was looking down at the rest of my body. It was so weird.
Oh
And
wow.
then there was the brain fog. My brain was not
Mm.
working at all. I could barely have conversations. I couldn't remember anything. My tipping point was when I forgot my son's band concert. It meant so much to him. I dropped him off. I put special clothes on for his concert because I was not feeling well, so getting dressed was a big deal. I wrote it on my hand. I set an alarm in my phone, and yet I got a call in the evening saying, why haven't you picked your son up? And why didn't you come to the band concert? That's how
Oh
bad
no.
the brain had stopped working. And this is, I'm a mom. You can't have that. You can't have dementia as a mom. You can't.
No.
And so
Wow.
I had already gone low and low carb, and I kept researching all these supplements. I mean, you should see the cabinet of supplements. It's ridiculous. I was trying everything,
Mhm.
everything. Um, and nothing seemed to be working. I had learned, oh, nuts can be inflammatory, so let's cut them. Oh, nightshades can be inflammatory. Let's cut them. Eventually, because of the breastfeeding thing and not having milk, I tested positive for both complete adrenal dysfunction along with also Hashimoto's. And so when you look up the vegetables and fruits for one, or the things you shouldn't eat for the one, it's a whole list. And then when you look up the list for the other, it's a whole list. And when you combine the two lists together, there's no plants left. And
Wow.
that kind of blew my mind a little bit. Like,
Mm.
what am I supposed to eat? Up to this point, I knew protein was important, But I was primarily eating fruits and vegetables because I thought that that was the most nutrient dense healthy food and also the lowest calorie. So this
Mhm.
was blowing my mind and I was just lost. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to eat? Because I was told we only needed meat the size of part of your palm. That's what I was told like over and over and over again.
I think
Um,
about that now, and it's so crazy. It's like I can't even I didn't even pay attention to them then because I really liked meat. But when I would eat, I would save my meat for last because it was my favorite. I would get the vegetables down, the potatoes down, whatever we had for dinner, and save the meat. Now it's like just the opposite. Just it's all meat. It's like mostly. I do have occasional vegetables and but it's crazy the things we're told
yes.
and you're believed all those years that we're healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes, we were told add those almonds to your shakes. Hi,
right.
Evelyn.
I'm gonna go
I
through some of these. Go ahead.
I recently remembered one more symptom that I completely forgot about, and that was that my neck was so locked up that I couldn't turn my head. And every day I would beg my family for a massage, like, please, please, my neck hurts so bad. And I went to a chiropractor and they had said that my discs were starting to fuse, I think they said. And but if I come to them every day for the next year and pay them $10,000, they would fix it.
Ah,
I'm exaggerating a little tiny bit. Sorry, chiropractors. Not all chiropractors are like that, but that chiropractor was the kind where um, you come every week, like twice, 3 times a week. He said preferably 3 times a week for a year or something. And he said then I would start feeling better. But anyway, that symptom is gone. So anyway, it wasn't gone though until my dad had said, hey, he was no grains, no sugar with Vinny. And his co-host is carnivore, and he said, hey, you should try carnivore. And I was like, nah, I need my plants, you know. And he had to say it, I think, for 6 months. My dad had lost 60 pounds, no grains, no sugar. And you want my chocolate water? No. Me and the baby are big salty fans. Sorry if you had to hear me slurp.
that's
uh
okay.
yes, my dad lost 60 pounds. He's the one that told me to try carnivore, so that's how I ended
Nice.
up here. What is that?
Okay, this is Charlie. Did you get to meet him at Keto Palooza?
I think that I did.
Good. He's great. And everybody's saying hi. Amy's here. She's I just had her on a couple weeks ago, last week. I can't even remember.
Wow, look at her.
I know, right? She's amazing. Everyone above in the chat. Hello, Carnivore K. Everybody just saying hi.
Oh, I love her.
Amy said she just watched your story with Dr. Chafee's channel. So inspiring. Yes. Evelyn says, I was chief photographer in my high school yearbook crew.
I still love my bracelet from you.
And Dustin, thank you so much. Excited to be here to listen to you ladies. You're both an inspiration to me. And then just saying hi, Christopher Strugil. I'm not even going to try it. Wants to know, how old are you? Adrian.
I'm 40.
I guess that must answer it. I'm even older. So am I. Quite a bit.
All
I'm
my
old enough to be
friends,
her mom.
all my friends are like 60, 70.
Mhm.
I love all my friends.
Dustin said, I know someone else who went to St. Olaf, my ex brother in law. That's wild.
It's a gorgeous school.
Yes.
And one of my greatest regrets was leaving that school, but I do know our journey is for a reason. I wasn't meant to stay there.
Hmm. Evan's laughing about your son telling you no. She said, you're doing great. Yes. And this is Andy. Yep. Dustin's home. Yay. Listening times 2 until I catch up. Edge made home safe. That's my neck hurts all the time. I tried a local chiropractor and they weren't worth the money.
Mhm.
This is my husband, Brian, aka the guinea pig. So if you hear see that in the chat, hi everyone loved cross country skiing. He's from New Hampshire originally.
And
So
where are you
he
guys now?
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Yes. This is my sister Deb. This is great already. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Deb. If you're driving, be careful. I'm in the gastric bypass club too. Regrets. Absolutely. We will get there because there's a lot. I'm late. We'll go back and start from the beginning. Thank you, Nan. Lynn says, I had severe neck pain and couldn't turn my head without big pain, etc. Figured it out myself that it was extreme oxalate overload. Those oxalates are no joke. This is James now lurking. Yay, guinea pig. That came about when I started bringing my husband on to test different recipes I would try. And he labeled himself as my guinea pig. And it stuck. And everybody just, they seek him out at the conventions. It's like at local meetups, it's funny. And he
And
eats it up.
you had said before we started hitting record, and I think this is so important. I choose carnivore specifically because of my
Mhm.
autoimmune. But
Right.
I think the best diet for each person is just a lot of meat and whatever else they can fit in their stomach.
What works for them. Yeah,
Yes.
it's got to be, I talked about this. My husband and I do a live stream every Wednesday. And I talked about this Wednesday because I had just been in one of Dr. Barry's live streams. And one of the coaches who will remain unnamed,
Mama, can you
there
make
was
me
someone in the
Papa?
chat. Go ahead.
A little bit later, buddy.
There was someone in the chat who kept saying carnivore didn't work for me. I got gut issues and skin irritations and all this. And they kept saying it. And this coach said, then why are you here? I was floored. I was like,
Mama, can you make me a Papa?
I'm like, how can you
Can
be
you
so
make me a
rude?
Papa?
Shh.
Can you make me a Papa?
I might have to take a second and make him a bubba. I'm so
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Okay,
It's
okay.
okay. Go ahead.
1 sec.
So while she's off making a bottle, a bubba, I think all of you know by now I hit 1,000 subscribers and thank yous to everybody. I am so psyched. And it's today 1,002, Dustin. Woo! It's pretty wild. Pretty wild. I didn't think I would ever even come close. Not at all. But this is her. Adrian's story is so incredible. It's just, I'm so glad she came on because she's just amazing. And all the ups and downs. Thank you, Lynn. And Kay, email me on my other email and some pictures. Yeah, Cindy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Cindy. You're amazing. Well, I don't know about all that, but thank you. Well, Amy Furovich. I'm going to mess up people's names, and I am so sorry if I do. I don't intend to. People mess up our name all the time. They'll go Demanchi. It's like, no, leave the E off. It's there, but just it's silent. Thank you so much, Amy. But she had told me Adrian told me backstage she's by herself with her two young ones. And she's busy. And I messaged her that I was backstage. And it's thank goodness I did because she's so busy she almost forgot.
I'm sorry, I'm moving.
It's okay. And it's like I told you before. I raised two boys by myself. And there were part of the time that most of the time by myself. There were times that I worked 2 jobs and try to get home to them and spend time with them, and it was crazy. Amy said, "I've been listening since the beginning, but never hit the send." Hello, Nan and Amy. So you got to carnivore, and now all the issues that you've had, other than the mold issue, which is why you moved, I'm assuming.
Mhm.
How is all that going?
Okay, so let's talk about weight first.
Okay.
I feel that eating a meat based diet is very helpful to weight loss because you get to be full and you get to be nourished and it's easier on your blood sugar. But it's honestly been such a struggle. It's been, if I don't track, I gain weight. It has been such a struggle, even eating the meat for me. Now, do I track and chase ketones? I don't. So maybe that would make a difference. But just for me, eating carnivore hasn't been like this magical weight loss. But it is in a way. Like it really is better because you get to be full.
Right.
And when I'm eating processed foods and when I'm eating primarily plants, I'm only full for 5 seconds and I'm always having cravings and I'm always hunting, always hunting. What I found with carnivore is, or meat based, whatever you want to call it, what I found is that it quiets the noise for a while and then it's like the noise comes back even though you're still just eating meat, so you still have to deal with food addiction, food patterns, food eating, I don't know what you want to call it.
Yep.
And so the weight has been interesting. There were times where I had gotten down to the lowest weight I'd ever been, which was 153. But then I just like in a matter of days, it's inflammation and I have chronic inflammation. It just come. I can just gain 10 pounds in 3 days. And obviously that's a lot of inflammation, but it doesn't just come back off. And so
Yeah,
this weight thing,
my sister and I have talked about that a lot. Like Dr. Barry says, eat until you're comfortably stuffed. Don't worry about calories and all that. That doesn't
ah,
work for everybody. It doesn't. And like she tells me, she says, if I do that, I gain weight.
me
It
too.
doesn't matter. It's like, it's crazy. So yeah.
I gained weight on lion diet. And I was strict lion. And it was like day 35, I gained 14 pounds in the matter of 3 days, which to
Whew.
me is inflammation. And to me, that's my body saying, I don't like what you're doing. And
Mhm.
I will never forget what I added. The first thing I added back was smoked salmon. And it was like the best thing I had ever eaten in my life. And so to me, that's like we need a little bit more. I believe that we probably need more than just ruminants. If I were I'm actually part Native American. And if I were my ancestors, I'd probably be eating fish and game. I
Mhm.
wouldn't just be eating game. I would
Right.
guess. I don't know. Um, so that's how the weight has been. Now, I've documented this and I've shared it. I've done some extreme things, you guys. Like we're talking, there's been times where I walked 12 miles a day, 5 days a week. And if I could get a 6 day in, I did. And I did this for months on end. There's been
Wow.
times when I did sardine fasts like crazy. Like for me to lose weight, I have to do kind of extreme things. And so to me, that's just like, is this really I don't know. I don't know what the ticket is there yet, but I'm still working on it. So the weight has been better. It's definitely better than eating my processed foods that I used to eat. It's definitely better. My food patterns are a lot better. I'm a lot fuller for longer.
Mhm.
I'm able to maintain things a lot easier because we get to be so full. But there's still that struggle there. There was
And
huge
you
periods.
look fantastic. Just
Thank you. I've been
saying.
working really hard lately. I
You really do.
recently started adding some fasting. And that I cut the fasting out for a while because my medication for chronic inflammation requires you to eat with it. And so I was like, well, my medication is more important than fasting. But recently I was like, I'm going to play around with fasting. So I was doing 2 and 3 day fasts. They didn't go well. The fast went great. The fasting feels amazing. Like, oh, what a relief and energy and Can you give him a hot dog too, please? But then after my fasting, I've been getting sick. And so digging into it, that must mean my body isn't quite, maybe it's too long of a fast. Maybe I need to
Right.
stick with intermittent fasting. Maybe I need to move more towards like sardine fasting. Now, for me, the sardine fasting isn't just about losing weight, because whatever you lose, you're probably going to gain it fast.
Mhm.
But I don't know, repetitively, just like water fasting, if you repeat something, you can chunk it off slowly over time.
Right. I have done some 3-day fasts, and you're right. You feel great, but
Mhm.
then once you start eating, whatever you lost that 3 days, it's just going to creep right back up because now you're putting food back in your body again. And it's like
Yeah.
that for me anyway. And it's like, is it worth it to go the time without the food if you're just going to reverse everything you just did?
Well, we were just talking about the two motivators. People say the biggest
Mhm.
motivators are, well, they called it vanity and then pain.
Mhm.
So my intention behind my fasting is I need my brain back.
Right.
Like a month ago, my mom came over and we sat and had a conversation. My kids were there. We had lunch. The next day I saw her and I said, "Hey, we just toured a house yesterday." And she goes, "I know, you told me yesterday." And I could not picture
Oh,
her at my
wow.
home. And so my fasting and my intention here is to get my freaking brain back. And what
Right.
stinks is that nobody can see. Porter, can you please help him? Porter?
Dies.
It didn't die. Um, so that's my intention is, but in the also, it
Mhm.
helps when you see your face thin out. You know,
Yep.
it helps when you start like fitting your clothes again. That's a
Right.
motivator too, but yeah, so that's where that
I
is.
mean, health has to be your first motivator always. That's the whole goal that everybody should have is for better health. Weight loss is
Here you
a
get.
bonus in this way
It's
of
the
eating.
best.
It's an added bonus,
There's
and it's
donuts
just
in it
wild.
too. Yeah,
My
eat
son
it.
just said there's donuts in his hot dog.
Donuts,
Yeah,
yay!
eat it.
In your dreams.
As long they,
Eat it, mom. Eat it, mom.
Thank you.
It tastes delicious.
I
delicious.
already ate. I had scrambled eggs with cheese on top for dinner, so I am stuffed, which is one of the
Yeah,
great parts about eating this meat is it makes me sad when I see some things going on in our world right now.
yeah,
I have a lot of family. First of all, I am not anti GLP-1. I'm not anti GLP-1. But what makes me sad is seeing people thinking that finally I can just not eat because eating is why I'm overweight. And they think that they need to be hungry all the time. And the fact that the fact that they ate is a bad thing. You know, eating is bad. That makes me sad. Just like when I was a
yeah.
kid and I thought and I thought, well, I'm fat because I ate the same dinner that everybody else did. And I need to eat less than everybody else because I'm bad, you know?
That's
Um
sad.
yeah, so what I love about the meat eating is you get to be full and you
Hmm.
get to nourish yourself.
Yes. So Dustin's saying I'm going to be doing Friday afternoon lives with guests starting soon. You always pick days that I'm bowling, Dustin. So if you're
I'm not
interested or
bowling.
know someone who's interested in sitting with me, email me. There you go. I, Deb says, my sister, I'm the same Adrian. When I started following Dr. Barry's advice to not track, I gained 10 pounds.
Mhm.
And saying, hi, Cindy O is in the house. Hello. And Karen says, isn't that because you're still healing?
The brain.
Hmm.
I wonder if that what she means. My my
I
thing
would
is
imagine so.
so I skipped the part where why have I not been feeling so well, which I think pretty much everybody here knows. And that is that through different events in my life, I ended up chronically inflamed. And like I can name those events because it can be a lot of things. So it didn't help that I grew up in moldy houses and lived in moldy dorms. And the first house we bought was 100 years old. And those things didn't help, and maybe they added up and didn't make me feel great, but it didn't tip me over quite. But then I slipped on the ice and I hit my head and I left my body. I hit my head that hard that I left my body and came back into it. And I had vertigo for years. To this day, I have horrible motion sickness. It's hard for me to look up without falling over. So I would say I have a head injury. Another thing is I was in a very emotionally, psychologically, financially, and in many, many ways, except physically, abusive marriage. I was in a very bad marriage. And they say that can be one of the contributing factors. I know I'm missing some. I've been in car accidents. I've had surgery. Surgery can be one of them, and then bad viruses can be.
Yeah.
And so your body starts getting inflamed. It can't turn it off. It starts attacking itself because the immune system's so discombobulated and so dysfunctional. And that's where I'm at, is just this chronic inflammation. And so it messes up your hormones, it messes up your thyroid. And so that's the main thing I'm trying to heal. And so when I found out about this as I was digging into carnivore. One of the first influencers I watched was Judy Cho. I love her. I love Judy Cho.
Yeah.
And the minute she told the stories, I was like, oh, that's me. But the testing was so expensive and then my husband was like, no, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. And so I didn't get tested for like 6 months. The testing came back like you need 8 out of 12, and mine was like 12 out of 12. Like very inflamed, and we had water damage all over our home. So it's been a struggle because we've had hard economic times, and the housing market crashed and the interest rates went up, and we can't live in our home anymore because it's making me so sick. And so we moved into our camper. Well, then our camper, the refrigerator started leaking, and we didn't know. And it sat there for months, and I started getting sicker
Oh,
and sicker
no.
and sicker. So then we moved into this townhome, which is absolutely gorgeous. And I don't want my landlord to listen to this and be mad at me. But either it has a water event now, or it had one in the past and it wasn't cleaned enough, good enough for a person like me. Because it's absolutely gorgeous. You can't see any water damage. You can't smell any water damage. But the minute I walked in, I was hit with, I could barely stand. And I told my husband, there's something wrong here. And he was like, are you sure? And it was hard because I was so sick that it is kind of hard to tell. In his defense, it's kind of hard to tell where I'm taking a
Wow.
hit from. But the minute I walked in, I could barely stand. I was so dizzy just walking in the door. And I was like, it's probably in my head. This place is gorgeous. Eventually my thyroid tanked, my hair fell out, and my hormones tanked, and my doctor said, you need to test that place. And it tested not good. So
Wow.
it took some time to move because people can't just move, but we're now in a brand new manufactured home. And my husband is not a fan. He calls it the camper. But I say it's efficient, it's affordable, it's brand new, it has a fantastic layout, and it's kind of cute.
And you feel good.
I do feel good, but I need to give it some time. Like at this
Right.
point, it's been almost 2 years in this whole thing. And so I already
Wow.
know, just breathe, just live. I have to just keep
Mhm.
living, whether I'm in a moldy building or not. I just have to keep living and keep doing the best I can every single day and be as positive as I can. It often is best if I don't even think about it at all, because the more I think about it, it triggers my limbic system
Mhm.
into going into protection and fight or flight. And so I am praying. And if anybody else out there is a prayer person, please pray for me, pray for my family, pray for this home, that Judy Cho is not full of smoke and that this is right, and that I am finally going to get better. At the end of, I'm doing the Shoemaker protocol, you get to take a peptide called VIP, and it actually regenerates your brain. I had a brain scan done, and I think it was five. I think I have 4 or 5 Aries areas of atrophy in my brain. And one of them is
Wow.
the parahippocampus, and it's off the charts. The parahippocampus atrophy is really bad. And that's an indicator of dementia. Not
Wow.
not necessarily today, but it's an indicator that I'm a candidate for dementia.
Right. Amy says, you both are spot on. I've gone up and down for years until I started PSMF 1 to 2 days a week, and I feel so much better. My inflammation is gone, and weight has been consistent for a year now.
I agree. PSMF
Yeah.
feels good to me. The high fat for me doesn't feel good. I'm not denying if someone else feels good on high fat. I just don't. I feel good with those lower fat days.
Mhm. And get the protein in. I like a good 36-hour fast, and then I do well with Maria Emmerich's PSMF. Dustin said, I wait fast for weight loss. I fast for autophagy. I also do it because it feels great and helps me keep control of food intake. It's
I
fasted up to
know he
21 days.
said that.
I've been I've been on his lives. He went to a meetup and wasn't eating because he was in the middle of a fast. It was
At a
wild.
meetup? That's
Yeah.
hardcore. You're in good company though.
Yeah. Great examples of just how different we all are and that we have to figure out what works for us or not. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, during lockdown, I had my then 4-year-old barge into a Zoom work meeting I was leading, shouting, I just pooped my pants. I thought I hit the mute button fast enough, but my coworker said otherwise. That's funny. Wow, Dustin, it's amazing I can't fast a day. You could if you wanted to. With GLP-1s, and excuse me, but I'm not sure what those are. I don't like that they don't tell the whole truth. You'll lose weight, but you're not losing fat. You're losing lean body mass, and that's not communicated to patients. That's my gripe.
I've really dug into this because I have a lot of family on it.
Mhm.
And they say the research shows that they're not losing any more muscle than someone who's had gastric bypass. But there's a bunch of bros on these. And well, here's another problem. They're overdosing people. They're they're significant. So there's a bunch of these gym people have been playing around with peptides for a long time. I recently started two peptides called BPC 157 and TB 500, and it's supposed to heal my gut lining and make me more resilient because that is what I want. I cannot live thinking to myself, is this building moldy? I can't do it. And there's people in my community who, when their kids come home from school, from a moldy school, they start reacting. And I'm like, I can't care what building my kids came from. I can't live like that. And
Right.
so I want to become more resilient. So there's a bunch of these gym bros that are taking these, even GLP-1, and they don't have fat, they don't have weight to lose, but it's helping them do their intermittent fasting, and it's helping them do maybe they do 2 and 3 day fast. I don't know, whatever they're doing.
Mhm.
But so they're taking lower doses, not these high doses that they're putting people on where they can't even eat. And they're eating their protein. That's the next problem. How many of these people are just eating less chips? You know,
Wow.
they're not eating, they didn't switch to eating meat. And so, like, I know my mom's not going to watch this, so I'm just going to call her out. She, she she's trying. Okay, so that's number one, is she's trying and she's feeling so much better and she's looking so much better. But like, her idea, because of our world, is what's healthy is to eat a big bowl of lettuce and then pour a bunch of seed oil on it, and there's no meat and there's no cheese and there's no help, and that's what she's eating. And then she gets mad at herself because she ate the whole bowl. That's what's wrong. If
Wow.
you're going to do that, you're going to lose muscle.
Right.
But they're saying
Prayers.
if you eat protein, you lift, and you don't overdose yourself, the gym bros are taking it. And they say that it actually builds their muscle.
Wow. Love meeting Adrian and the
I
2KK
love you
cruise in
too, Andy.
January.
Andy, are you going in 2 weeks? Let us know. I think
I
you are, aren't
I
you?
think she is. I think she is. What testing would you recommend to check for mold issues?
So if you're testing in your home, I recommend the ERMI from Envirobionics, and they send you a Swiffer, and you grab dust from around your house, And this is such a better test than if the insurance company, I know this from experience, they hire a company, they bring them in, they have this little fan and it blows stuff out of the air onto a plate and they go test that. The problem is a lot of mold is heavy and it's on the ground. And then as we move around, we shuffle it into the air and breathe it in. But it's on the ground, so the plate is never going to catch it. It's such a crap test. But some people say it's okay. But anyway, if you're looking to test yourself, first thing I do is go by symptoms because that's free. And the Shoemaker Protocol has a list of symptoms, and they say, shh, 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 shh. If you have so many clusters, you have chronic inflammation. Now,
I'm not fat.
don't call people fat, Porter. That's not funny. I don't know why he does that. We could go into. I have a son that repeats things, and he has extra challenges. And in one of his repetitive words is fat, and another one is corn dog, like fat corn dog. And so I swear we don't teach our kids. Obviously, I was bullied as a child. We do not teach our kids to call other people fat. Anyway,
Kids
if you're
are going
gonna
to be
test,
kids.
yeah, if you're gonna test yourself and you want like a blood test, I would look at Judy Cho's list and pick a couple. Like I wouldn't do them all. Like a TGF beta 1, that tells you TGF beta 1. And I think that's from Quest Diagnostics. It'll tell you what your inflammation is, big time. And then there's another one called MSH, and that'll tell you basically if your immune system's down. And if you have no MSH, you're pretty inflamed and your immune system's dysfunctional. So those are two big ones.
Wow. And here's all the prayers that you asked for.
Thank you, guys.
And Karen says it's just still disordered eating. And Andy, yes, I'll be there as well as Susan. You can't pick the words they stay on.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying, Evelyn. Exactly.
Yep. When society, when your kids go out to school anyway, it's all bets are off. They're going to pick up things. It's horrible.
We actually had a really rough evening, which is part of the reason I was so discombobulated and grateful that you messaged me, because I went to pick him up from school and he wasn't there. And we walked the whole school. We checked in every room and he wasn't there. We started screaming in the bathrooms, Porter, Porter. He wasn't there. They start radioing everywhere. And all the teachers, everybody's radioing. They're to the point they're checking the cameras. Where did he go with the cameras? And at this part, I start bawling because my son is gone and we've been looking for him for 10 minutes. And I totally forgot that I asked my stepmom to pick him up.
Ooh, darn.
I had a chance to talk to his teacher and he told the craziest stories today.
Wow. So Karen was referring to the GLP-1 with the disordered eating.
It definitely helps with the disordered eating. Well, or people go on too high of a dose and then it can become disordered where they just don't want to eat. But here's the thing, that wears off. So whether you use that tool or not, you have to find something that's going to fill you up, and you have to deal with it, because I've been researching this a lot. I have like 10 family members on this, and they've all lost weight. All of them, even my type 2 diabetic stepmom. So I have two moms, stepmom, birth mom. And my stepmom's a type 2 diabetic. She even went carnivore. And my dad lost 60 pounds and she lost none. Like, she's very weight loss resistant and she's been on a very low dose of that. They tried to up her and she couldn't eat. So she was like, if you're going to make me do that, I'm not going to take this medicine. And so they lowered her back down. And over the past 2 years, I think she's lost 50 pounds. She's back to walking again. She wasn't walking. She wasn't golfing. She's getting pep in her step. This is as small as she's ever been.
Wow.
And so in that type of case where she already is eating a lot of meat and she doesn't want to not eat and she doesn't want to feel sick, I think my stepmom's doing pretty good. I think she's doing it right. And then my birth mom's taking the other route, the let's dose it up and not eat anything except lettuce and
Oh,
seed oils.
geez. Wow. So, Adrian, we had touched base a little bit about gastric bypass.
Yes.
I had mine in 2007. We were told, the group that I was in, with all the support meetings you have to go to and all the testing you have to go through prior to the psych evaluation, lose a percentage of your weight so they can do the surgery, all this stuff. They made it very clear to tell us that when after your surgery, switch from white rice to brown rice, switch from white potatoes to sweet potatoes, regular bread to dark breads, regular pasta to whole grain pastas. So they're telling us it's okay to eat this other stuff. This was years before you had yours. So I did that. I changed everybody in our house to the way I was supposed to start eating, so that I didn't have to worry about it, because I did all the cooking. So, it was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And it was rough because brown rice is disgusting, but I did it. I didn't
And
do
now we
sweet
find
potatoes
out
because
it's
I
full
didn't
of,
like them.
yeah, now we find it's full of arsenic.
Oh, it's just crazy. So anyway, I had lost 90 pounds and never did get under 200. And then it started creeping back up. So over the course of the next, I don't know, say 11 years, when I started keto, I had gotten up to back to almost 300 pounds. And I was eating mostly the way they told me. But I also found out that I could eat dark chocolate and not get sick from it
Wow.
at night.
Mm.
However, if I would get some whole grain cereal and eat a bowl of cereal for breakfast in the morning before going to work, within 2 hours, my blood sugars were down. And I was the only one at the store. I ran a retail store. I couldn't just leave, We had a stand of those Lindor chocolates. And I would grab one of those, and within minutes, I was fine. Well, my husband's a type 1 diabetic, so I know the signs of low blood sugar with him. So I started researching low blood sugar after gastric bypass surgery. And I came across this blog, and it absolutely freaked me out. So many people had developed hypoglycemic episodes called hyperinsulinemic hypoglycemia, that some have suffered brain damage, some have lost their pancreas, had to have it removed. So many extreme cases, and I'm like, oh no. I went to my doctor and I loved him. I said, I think I have this, because I was getting these low blood sugars. I would eat a decent size, and I would try to find the lowest carb cereal out there, just using that as a for instance. And within a couple hours, my blood sugar was in the 40s. And I remember my son came over to me, and then I'll go back to what I said to the doctor. I was homesick one day. I was laying on the couch and I really wasn't feeling well. My son came over and kissed me on the forehead. He said, "Mom, you are sweating profusely." I said, "Can you go in my office area and get my meter?" Because by this time I had bought myself a meter so I could keep an eye on my blood sugars. And I was at 47 and just feeling like garbage. So when I went to my doctor, I said, I think this is what I have. Told him how I found the blog. He got his computer open. He looked it up the exact same way. He found the exact same blog that I found. And he's reading it because he says, I've never heard. Obviously, he's heard of hyperinsulinemia and he's heard of hypoglycemia. But to put the two together, he had never heard of that. But he had patients that were coming in complaining, I'm getting these low blood sugars. He told me on my next visit, he said, you've helped me out so much with so many of my patients. because it's incredible. I mean, to know that I wasn't the only one, yeah, that's great. But it's not great, you know? I was I was so seriously miserable. And I mean, not and I've heard yours and it's not as bad as some of the things you've been through. But just that lethargic feeling you get where you're totally out of it because your sugars are so down because you ate what you were supposed to be eating. You know, so it was like this is crazy. So then I discovered if I eat something and I eat enough protein to offset that, it's not going to drop. So I quit the cereal. Obviously, that was no, that wasn't going to go. This is way before my sister found keto and got me started. Um, so I figured out that's what I needed to do. You know, is beef up the protein, cut back the other stuff, the carb things, and you know. But then I also discovered that late at night it didn't happen. No matter what I ate at night, it never dropped my blood sugars because your whole metabolism is different times of the day.
That's so interesting. I don't think I've ever had it at night either.
Yeah, it's weird.
Always during the day.
Yep. So, you know, it's like I have a video on my channel about my story with gastric bypass. I had the surgery on a Monday. Typically, I would have been going home on a Wednesday. Tuesday night, and this is going to sound disgusting, and I'm sorry ahead of time if it bothers anybody. I went in the bathroom and I lost a ton of black blood to the point where I had to get 4 units of blood. I was so out of it. My husband was there. I sent him home. I said, I just need to sleep, and you're making me want to stay awake. Go home. I didn't get to leave until Friday, but I was fine by then. 4 units is a lot of blood that you don't have any left, you know. It was like the weirdest sensation because I didn't want to, you know, I couldn't do anything. I laid there in that bed and was just so out of it because of the amount of blood loss. My surgeon came in the next day, and I had already had a complete hysterectomy, ovaries and everything way before my gastric bypass. And he told me, he said, that was the most perfect surgery I have ever done. I would never have thought this would have happened to you. And he said, the black blood is old blood that has been stored in your body that needed to come out. So what the heck? You know, I'm glad it came out, but not the way it did. You know, that was crazy.
That's
So
weird.
it was like, why did I ever do this at that point? And that was right off the bat. So then a couple years later, when I started having the hypoglycemic episodes, and to this day, if I go off plan, and this is like, I'm around people every day, whether it's bowling or whatever, except at home with my husband, that don't do keto. That, you know, they think we're crazy.
I know. And do you look at what they're eating and go,
Oh, today we had
only because of their blood sugar, not
right.
necessarily the rest of it. Like the blood sugar, you're thinking, how can you eat that?
Mm-hmm. Today we had a bowling party for Thanksgiving. We had a party at the bowling alley. Everyone brought a dish, and they supplied chicken tenders, which, you know, fine, if that's the worst I do, okay. I made keto chow cookies and keto chow fudge and brought them. My teammate, one of our teammates, she made some salami with cream cheese roll-ups.
Hey, look.
Hello.
Hi.
You are cute. So, you know, she wanted to make sure we had something.
Just lost the tooth.
Do what?
He wants you to know he just lost a tooth right here.
Oh, no.
Just like
Now
right
what are
before
you going to do?
Sorry.
So that's fine. Hey, like I said, I raised 2 boys. I get it.
That's the game.
We
Nice.
I forgot to book a sitter, so the iPad is the sitter.
It's
I'm sorry.
oh,
Everybody, I know you're all cringing,
you
but
know,
I was really looking forward to hanging out with you guys and Cindy tonight.
you're
Desperate
good.
times call for desperate measures.
You are good. Everybody in here has kids, I think. So, have had kids. It is what it is. I told you
So, so,
earlier,
so you
we are
went to
so
this,
laid back here. It's
you guys
whatever
had a whole
happens.
bunch of awesome keto foods.
They had what I brought. And like I said, the chicken tenders were deep fried at the bowling alley, but if that's the worst, I did. And
Mhm.
then I was looking at this one salad, and I'm not going to lie, it looks so good. Right. And I said, "Oh, that looks good. I wonder what's in that." And the person that made it would just happen to be standing there. She said it's broccoli, cauliflower, apples, honey, feta, and I don't like feta cheese. But I said, "Well, you lost me at apples and honey." She said, "But it's all real good stuff." I said, "It's all sugar." And I said, "We don't eat sugar." And they look at me like I am an idiot because I'm like, "Listen," I said, "I've lost 100 pounds and I've kept that off, the majority of it off anyway, for 2 years. I'm not going backward. Yeah, I have more I want to lose. But I tell my sister and I talked to Brian, I said, if I don't lose another pound, I am off of blood pressure medicines. I'm not pre diabetic anymore. I feel really good, except for a crappy ankle right now. But overall, my health is way better than it was prior. So, it's like whatever.
It was
So,
a mom body, but I recently wore a two-piece swimsuit on a cruise.
yay.
I mean, there was like mom skin everywhere, but I did it, and I think it was okay. And I didn't see
Mhm.
anybody going. If they did, I'd probably just say, "Hey,
Blow them
how are
off
you doing?
because who cares?
Go eat your ice cream." No, just kidding.
Yes, yes. But yeah, these people, I mean, there's so much food.
Yeah.
Now I grabbed 3 chicken tenders. I
Hmm.
had they also had a tray with cheese and little like round meats and crackers. So I grabbed some of the cheese and the meat,
Hmm.
some of the salami roll-ups that my teammate made, and my cookies and a piece of my fudge. I had a plate full of food that I knew was way better than everybody else in that building except my husband. And it was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Our neighbor, we bowl with her on Thursday nights and we go out to eat sometimes after bowling because none of us want to eat and then try to bowl. It's like, no. And at the beginning, she's like, where can you guys eat anyway? I said, we can
Everywhere
find something anywhere you want to go.
except Noah's Ark. The restaurant there is awful.
So
Is that
I
far
haven't
from
been
your
there
house?
yet.
No.
But
It's
yeah, it was like I said, we can pretty much find anything.
guys, please don't. Hey, look, we're still on YouTube. Look, we're still on YouTube, so you gotta be quiet, okay?
Oh,
Maybe it's time that I need a new room.
you're okay.
Anywho, you were talking about how you always preferred meat, and that makes me think of when we used to have like potlucks. I used to love the ham and cream cheese roll-ups. That was my favorite thing out of
Mhm.
all the things that people would
Yep.
bring was the ham and cream, you know, or gosh, if somebody ever skewered some steak, I would have been way into that too.
Right. Right. So anyway, so your gastric bypass story. I know you've had it pretty rough also.
Yeah, and my hypoglycemia is not just from what I'm eating. It's also stress related. So as I was going through my divorce, as there was post separation abuse, as there was trauma, my blood sugar continued to drop. When I throw birthday parties, my blood sugar would drop. I haven't eaten sugar basically since I had my surgery, but yet it would keep dropping. I didn't eat potatoes. I wasn't having like low carb tortillas. I wasn't eating any of those things, and it was still dropping. And later on, I found out it was because of stress. So the reason that for now carnivore is a better option for me is because I think that my guts were so inflamed that was maybe affecting my hormones a little bit, or my hormones
Mhm.
are so off that it can't handle any stress at all. And so even green beans were affecting me.
Right.
Um, it's just a level of sensitivity that's not common. And so for some reason, cutting the veg, I've had the only hypoglycemia I've had since is I recently tried some bioidentical testosterone, and I immediately went to hypoglycemia, which was so weird. And I need to talk to
Wow.
my doctor about that. So obviously I stopped that therapy. But
Yeah.
so that is another indicator though. This is for me also hormone related, but it's definitely from the surgery. If I could, I would reverse my surgery. And so, if anybody out there has had theirs reversed and you're like 5 years out, I'd love to talk to you. I don't want to talk to someone that's 6 months out. I want to talk to you 5 years out. Did you have complications? Did it fix the hypoglycemia? I want to know someone who's out from it. And
Right. There is
I would
someone.
honestly consider it because it's debilitating. I can't go out to eat. I couldn't eat those chicken strips because that little tiny bit of flour could cause me hypoglycemia. And I
Right.
don't want to live like that. I want to be able to be part of society, even if sometimes it's not optimal.
Right. There is someone in the community that did reverse their gastric bypass.
Whoever that person is, we need to be
It
friends.
was it wasn't long ago, and they're in Two Crazy Ketos chat a lot.
Yeah, and I can
And
never
it's just
find
that
them.
I'm like, I've mentioned that to my doctor. She said there are very few doctors around that will even touch that
I
because of what is
know.
done during a gastric bypass surgery, where they cut off part of your stomach and they staple it aside, and that's it.
Hmm.
There are very few, and they reroute your intestines. They do so much when you go through that surgery that
Yeah, it'd
there
be a
are
lot
very
of
few
sewing.
doctors. Yep.
Yeah, my doctor doesn't even do these surgeries anymore. He stopped during the 2020s.
Good. A
Hmm.
parent dropped off a lunch for their kid this morning, a pack of Pop Tarts, a bag of Doritos, and a Capri Sun. That was it. Jeff's the comic relief with your sons. Jerry, hello, hello. Hope your husband is well. He just had back surgery. Question: Are you surprised by the Jillian Michaels we see today as opposed to the Jillian Michaels of the Biggest Loser days? I haven't seen her, so I
I know
don't know.
exactly what she's talking about because I've been watching it. This is my tea. I started a series and I really need to get better about it, but we've been moving and I actually have been playing around with the fasting and stuff for a few months. And during that time, it's just I've been sick after my fasts, and so I need to get back to it. But she has come out and started coming towards us saying processed foods aren't good, where before she would say, well, processed foods in moderation are fine. I've heard interviews where she used to say, and I sure she still says it, but I wonder if she's coming around. There's indication she's coming around where she said, I had my women eating 800 calories a day and burning 3,000 calories a day in exercise on top of their whatever. Or maybe it was more than that. Maybe it was 5,000. It was something insane. She had them doing cardio, walking all day long, and then 800 calories a day. And she claimed that they lost no muscle.
Wow.
Okay, I was at a finale. I saw these people. There was muscle loss for sure.
Oh,
But she's recently come around and she's coming closer. But she's saying keto isn't necessary, but she's not necessarily hating on keto anymore. There's a lot of stuff she's coming around to, and I just wonder if she spent some time. I don't know. It does seem like she's turning a corner. And in her defense, too, no, first of all, I mean, if she watches this ever, I'm sorry to tell you, Jillian, but most of the alumni doesn't like her. They think she's evil. but and that was before she recently started talking. But it seems to me like she was one of the only people who continually stepped away from the show because it didn't feel right. She did. She continually stepped away. You'll watch the season. She wasn't always there. She wasn't on my season. She would continually step away because she didn't feel comfortable with what she was seeing. So, I mean, we could at least give her credit for that.
Wow. Amy had to go spend time with hubby, and Jerry says, "Yes, you know." So that's interesting because I haven't seen any of that. And I know that from being a spectator of the show and seeing the hard work that's involved and the constant push yourself, push, push, push. And I know to a point that's great, but I tell you, I could never put myself in that spot because I just what that just I couldn't, you know. My sister Debbie, she probably could have back in,
Everybody was injured. Everybody
it
was
was,
injured. That's
I bet.
not, if I could, I would love, if a show is redone, please pick me. Please pick me. I want to help with it. Because you can't hurt people like that. You are actually hurting them. People ended up with bursitis all over their bodies. Everybody had injuries. And then on the show, they would make it look like, oh, look at them trying to get out of their workouts. This is why they're overweight to begin with. You know, it was,
That's Jerry's the right. She seems so mean. She did, and it
she did
was
talk to us like we weren't human, to people like they weren't human.
wow. That was horrible. So back to bypass. Would you have done it if you know what you know now?
No,
No.
I would eat
Would you
sardines.
recommend anybody to do it?
I would not recommend bypass, period, exclamation point, double cross, nothing. No, never gastric bypass. I'm not saying that I hate the sleeve. I haven't personally had it, but I don't know anybody who's had side effects from it other than maybe an infection from the surgery itself or a complication of the actual surgery. But
Yeah.
they don't have.
Wendy had issues with that.
Mom,
Shh, what?
what are you me with this?
Oh my gosh, you want to come here? I'll hug you.
Yeah, put me in the bag.
We got a Ninja Turtle, guys.
Oh boy, another little cutie.
I can say,
Hi.
we gave them an hour and 20 minutes until they lost their minds.
Yes, they've
That's
done
pretty
great.
good. That's
They've
pretty
done
good.
great. For a 2 and 5-year-old, you get that's awesome. And he's so
Yeah.
cute.
So I don't
Hi.
know. Would if somebody's like,
In row.
hey, I really want to get the sleeve, would you be super, super against it?
I don't think I would be against it. I think I would suggest that they try other ways first.
Give me a marker.
No. I
I
can't.
think
Yeah.
I would tell them my
No.
experiences
I did not do that, Mom.
and with the bypass and that
I did
I
not
don't
do
have
that.
experience with sleeve, you know. I don't have any experience with sleeve, but I would tell them to try other avenues first. Unless they were in dire need and it was a last resort and it's either this or they're going to die. This or something extreme was going to happen to them if they didn't drop some weight quick. That's why I did it. There was diabetes in my family, heart disease. I went through high blood pressure for 50 years. You know,
Can you put these on the fridge for me?
No.
We have a birthday on the ship. So I got magnets for the birthday girl. Maybe she'll
Nice.
watch this and know that the birthday magnets. Can you put those on the fridge for me?
Nice. So I did it to run away from all my family issues. The diabetes, the heart disease. My dad died at 56 of a heart attack.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm still listening.
Yeah, it's good.
Look, bud. Look. He doesn't understand. Put it on the fridge.
Evelyn wants to know which Ninja Turtle is his favorite.
He's currently blue.
whichever one that is. Jennifer Lucas, hello, hello, late to the
Hi,
party.
beautiful.
So I think I would suggest if they haven't tried keto at least to give that a try. See if they feel better, see if it works for them,
I
and
mean,
then
if
if
you're
if
willing to
it's
go on a liquid diet, why wouldn't you be willing to just eat some meat?
mhm,
If you're willing to eat 800 calories a day or whatever it ends up being, why wouldn't you be willing to try a meat diet? I just remembered my problem with the surgeries, both of them, is that it doesn't at all go to the root of the issue. It doesn't go to it doesn't go to the fact that you probably have a metabolism issue, you probably have a
mhm,
hormone issue. In my case, the problem was that I had crash dieted and killed my metabolism, and I needed to rebuild my metabolism. The problem was I wasn't filling myself with actual food. I was eating all this diet food. I would eat like buckets of lettuce because it was no calories. I could
right,
stuff tons of it in me. So that would be my problem with it, is it's not getting to the root of the issue. But it is a tool to maybe assist you with one of the issues, which is food addiction. But
right.
then it
But if
only
they
helps you for so long, and then you can eat around it.
right, like I found out. Yes, well, like I said, I ate what they told me to eat the majority of the time until I got to that late night stuff, and I was like, "Hey, this ain't bothering me," and I could eat whatever. Because they also said, well, the dumping syndrome. Some people couldn't eat eggs after the bypass surgery because it made them sick. There was so many different things. It was crazy. But
I don't think I ever dumped, but I never ate sugar. They told us never to eat ice cream. The only
mhm,
ice cream I've ever had has been sugar free. And
yep,
even
yeah,
then, it's a
yeah,
little whooshy for me. It's not a great food for me. It doesn't make me feel great.
right.
I haven't tried keto chow ice cream though, and that's mostly protein, right? So
Oh yeah,
maybe that could work, but I don't know. I haven't tried it.
it's good. It's good.
I did buy a Ninja Creamy and I moved it to the new house.
There you go. Now you have to try it because hey, but yeah, I would highly recommend trying other avenues because there's not if they had to do something, do the most least invasive thing they could possibly do that can be reversed very easily, like the band. If they had to do something, if they felt like that was their last resort, yes, I would say do it. However, like if I would have thought more about it years ago before the surgery, and I looked at my husband, he said, I love you just the way you are. You don't need to do this for me. I said, no, I don't love myself. I need to do something for me. And stupidly, I did it. So it was like he was there no matter what. He was behind me 100%, and that makes a difference too to have that support. So, but knowing what I know and having been through what I've been through and read all the stories that I've read, the horror stories, I would never suggest gastric bypass to anybody. It's just horrendous. My daughter put up with dumping syndrome for 2 years after having her stomach removed. Whew. I had that if I would try to eat too fast when I was able to start eating. And my husband would look at me, there she goes again. There she goes again. It was like it was a waste of time to try to eat. But now I can eat. I can eat a good steak. It's like, and I know there's some people that still have trouble getting enough protein in one meal. I can't do OMAD. There's no way that I can't. But I can sit down and eat a good steak or steak and eggs and put a lot of it away where some people couldn't do it and still can't. But this is 17 years later. That stomach pouch stretches. I don't care. And I can put some meat away and put some serious food away. So in time, those people can. So
When I first started carnivore, so that was 2 years ago. So what's that, like 8, 9 years after my surgery? I
mhm.
actually still really struggled with eggs. I struggled with hamburger. I struggled with it all actually, and which is part of the reason I geared towards plant, because they break down and they're easy to slide through your stomach. And I don't know, the stomach acid changed. I can eat. I mean, I ate like 6 eggs for dinner.
Mhm.
Which is a lot. I did. And then there was cheese on it. It was delicious. For breakfast, I don't know, I'm on an egg kick. I had eggs for breakfast as well. And then I had sausage, like a cheese sausage. And I tried beef bacon for the first time today. It was pretty good. It was
Yeah,
okay. I mean, it was still definitely beef. I was expecting more of a bacony flavor, but it was
yeah,
still super beefy. So I don't know if I'd buy it again, but it was fun to try, Like,
right.
part of keeping this fun is like continuing to, like, for me, it's maybe buying the next keto chow, like just buying something new, changing it up a little bit. Uh, Trying that
Mhm.
that bacon. I had never had pork belly until I started eating this way. Getting some pork belly. I love I'm a big fan of picanha. Do you like picanha?
I have not tried it. Or
I
maybe I
love
did
the
at a
picanha.
Brazilian steakhouse,
Yes,
little
they
pieces.
definitely have it
Yeah.
there. That's one of their main meats.
I
And
like
we
pretty
just
much all meat. I won't eat organ meat.
neither.
I don't like sardines. Bleh, 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 nope.
I love sardines. I have a whole box over here that says canned meat. And it's a big box.
Mommy, I did it. I did it, Mom.
It's a big it. Yeah, I know, buddy.
I
Yeah.
have a whole cabinet full of canned meats.
I definitely think the first line should be trying a very low carb keto carnivore diet.
Mhm.
That is, how would you ever know? That is the only way to not have side effects. That's the only way.
Right.
Out of the rest of the options, this is the only one without side effects. Where you're nourishing yourself, you could potentially heal. So for me, for me to heal, I've also had to do the shoemaker protocol, and we're renovating our house, and in the meantime we've moved, so it took
Right.
more than just the meat. But I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change eating anything else, because this is the most nourishing, it's the most filling, and for me it's the best for my blood sugar, and that means the world to me.
Yeah.
This child's driving me nuts.
Jennifer says, after gastric bypass, do you have
Yes.
malabsorption issues? I
Yes.
was told, I don't know about when you had yours. I was told that if you have this, you're going to have to supplement with vitamins for the rest of your life. And I take vitamins daily. And thankfully, I do, is all of my levels are great. I do take the vitamins, like C and D3, K2, fish oil, because we don't eat a lot of seafood. We do eat some, but in that respect, yeah, I continue to take the vitamins because I think right now I'm afraid not to, because everything is good. I don't want to rock that boat, you know. I don't want to chance something not being right. I mean, my doctor now, she is fantastic. I ask her for a ferritin level check. She's okay. I asked her to do a what was the other one? A fasting insulin. She said no problem. My previous doctor, since we moved to Kentucky, said you don't need those. I'm not going to order those. And he was nuts. So, what about your malabsorption?
I've absolutely had issues. I have chronic anemia. I've had infusions multiple times. I'm about to go get infusions again. I definitely supplement, but it's just not absorbing through my gut. Like, what an oxymoron. Hey, you're gonna have malabsorption, but take vitamins orally. Like, that's such a so why would we not, if we can't absorb it through bioavailable nutrients in our meat, why is this synthetic vitamin? I don't know. So I religiously took my iron and my calcium and my bariatric multivitamin for years until carnivore. And then I was like, I don't know why I'm taking all this synthetic stuff and still having these issues. My numbers were bad then. They haven't gotten worse, but it's the inflammation, I think, is the issue. So for me, I really have to work on this inflammation. I really think some of these peptides that I'm taking, I think they could help, but like at some point, I don't know about you guys, but when you have things and then you go to the doctor and they're like, this is what it is, and they'll give you something, you're like, okay, we're gonna get this. And then it didn't work. So then maybe you go to functional medicine, they're like, here's a supplement for you, and you're like, this is gonna work. And you take that supplement and then you go to a different doctor, a chiropractor, and they're like, no, you need this supplement. So you buy that supplement and that doesn't work. And so now finally I'm trying this peptide thing. So we'll see. Is it just another supplement? I don't know. They say there's like 6,000 of them and they say that they're bioidentical to our bodies. So it's kind of like taking a vitamin because vitamins are available to our bodies. Can you please?
I was thinking about that.
Well, let's go through these. Any guesses on the mystery keto chow for Black Friday?
I know what it is, and I have it in an envelope right next to me.
Hmm. I know what it is too. Not guessing. Not guessing. You'll like it. That's all I'm gonna say. I will eat organ meat and sardines, but you know me. Yes, I know you, Lisa. I'm on a 5 day of just sardines and eggs. Have fun. Have
So,
fun.
Lisa, you're my lady.
I
I'll
could do.
probably eat eggs and sardines tomorrow.
I have done a 7 day egg fast, and I'd never tired of them. I love eggs,
I
but
love
for the
eggs, so I
others,
don't understand how that's fasting.
Evelyn, my guess is speculous spelling issue, and spices shipped around the world.
But I
That's a good
talked to
guess.
someone, I forget who it is, and if you're on here, I'm sorry. I talked to someone. Oh, it was my friend Becky. And no, maybe it wasn't Becky. A friend of mine, recently did a heavy whipping cream fast. And I'm like, how is that a fast? But she was like, this is like a
Whoa!
fat fast. And I'm like,
Wow!
I would be 700 pounds if I went on that fast.
Wow! That's a lot.
I feel the same way about eggs. I feel like I would be 700 pounds if I got to just say, hey, Adrian, eat all the eggs you want until you're full. I'd be making deviled eggs, scrambled eggs, juicy eggs. I think that
Egg
there's,
loaf is amazing.
what is egg Oh, is that is it the egg whites and you make the like Maria Emmerich bread or?
No, you mix like I did it with 8 eggs, 8 ounces of cream cheese, and 8 ounces of butter, or 8 tablespoons of butter,
This is,
and blend that all up and bake it. So good.
yeah,
So
Courtney
good.
Luna does that except with cottage cheese, and it is like I could make it right now. And then you mix in the banana bread keto chow, and oh my gosh,
I haven't done that. Meat stock is going to sneak organ meats in on us. Some will be in the season. Well, see, I'm not going, so I don't have to worry about it.
I'm gonna tell you
I
guys
know,
a
right?
little secret without telling you a secret. I
Uh,
am not going to meat stock. I will be busy doing something really cool, and some of you will really enjoy it.
Nice. Captain Crunch is Cindy's guest. Not real confident though.
Nah, I'm not gonna say.
That sounds good.
That does sound really good.
I was a cereal person, so that would really be
I
good.
have cereal too with some milk.
Now, last night, have you tried the fruity cereal keto chow?
Yes.
That's good. Last night, I had that in ice cream. That was our dinner. That was my dinner. It was so good. It was like, woo.
I love that company, Keto Chow. That
I
Coco
do.
Loco. I am so addicted
It's the
in a good way.
the people behind the company is what makes that
Yes.
so good.
I love
It's
Chris and
like,
Miriam.
yep, and Lynette and
And
Holly and
Lynette.
Steve, all of them. They're
Yes.
fantastic people.
I agree.
Debbie's been asking for butter pecan keto chow for a long time. That would be good too.
Is that one of the ones that just came out? Maple butter?
No, it
Wasn't
was
there a
pecan sticky
fall?
bun
Oh, okay.
or maple waffle, but butter pecan ice cream was our mother's favorite ice cream. That would really be good. Fruity cereal is good. There's so many of them that are good. It's like birthday cake is now. Last week I mixed fruity cereal and birthday cake together and made two creamies, one for my husband, one for me. It was delicious. The two flavors together, they were so good. It was like, holy cow. I like to try a cereal recipe that you cook into crunchy nuggets. Two Crazy Ketos recipe. I have a Coco Loco or caramel vibes in my coffee every morning. This is Rick. Hey, all. This guy was on my live stream the beginning of the month. Looking at my calendar. If you didn't get a chance to see it, Adrian, it's amazing. I mean, everybody's got great stories. Rick has been through a lot, a lot, a lot. Cindy, why do you put collagen in your keto chow? That's the only way I get it because I don't drink coffee. And it does help my nails. And why not? It boosts the taste. I'm good. Hello, Rick. So yeah. So what would you for last words? Because I know you are so busy.
Sorry.
And I don't know, you're fine. I mean, we've been at this an hour and 41 minutes. It's a lot. And they miss mama. But they're so cute, Adrian. They're adorable.
Thank you. I love them.
I will tell you, I'm going to be a great grandma.
Congratulations! That's
The end of
crazy.
December. Oh, let me get this up here. My granddaughter's been sending me baby bump pictures. Uh-oh. We lost her. I don't know who. Somebody hit leave studio. We'll give her a few minutes, see if she comes back. But in the meantime, I have a baby bump picture of my granddaughter that I was about to show. She's 36 weeks pregnant. Look at that belly. She's so cute. But she's awesome. Yeah, I agree, Evelyn. Her kids have been very well behaved. And I think we have lost her. Let's see if she messages me on Instagram. And I will let you know. Nope. That's so fun. Yes. Cute baby bump. Yep. She's skinny as a rail. She's about 5'7", 5'8", and might weigh 100 pounds prior to pregnancy, if that. She's skinny. I said, you're going to get fat. Here she comes.
Sorry.
Hello.
We've been talking long enough. My phone died.
Oh, no. So I'll show you again. I showed them the baby bump picture. There you go. She's
I love babies.
36 weeks. And like I was just saying, she is about 5'8" and maybe weighs 100 pounds prior to pregnancy. She's tiny, skinny, skinny, skinny. And I told her, you're going to get fat.
Can I see it? I want to see the little baby.
Oh,
Well,
it's
the
not a
baby's
picture
in
of a
her
baby.
belly. The baby's
It's
in
a
the belly.
belly.
I'm
I
not in
bet
the
her kids
belly.
hit the wrong button. No.
I'm not in the belly.
Like
I'm not in the belly.
protein sparing modified fast. It's when you eat very low fat. So you would eat chicken, shrimp, like
Pork.
super low fat,
I'm
like
not in your
30
tummy.
grams or less, I think.
I'm
But you
not in
still get your 100 grams of protein in, or whatever it is for your height or whatever your goal is. And the difference is that your body still has to use its own fat for energy. But you shouldn't be eating up muscle because there's some scientists, some science says that you eat up muscle when you fast, and some science says you don't. But this way, it kind of ensures that you wouldn't. And I would think that maybe it's even a little bit better on your hormones and your metabolism. I would think if we were out in the woods and we couldn't catch a deer, we shot a squirrel or a rabbit. Okay, well that's really lean. You know, we prefer the fatty meat if we can ever find it, but there'd be a lot of days where we probably would have had lean game, and so I think it might be primal to eat low fat sometimes. What do you think, Cindy?
I feel better without boosting up the fat. I mean, there's times like a ribeye is great, absolutely great. But, it was, there are times I used to add extra butter to my steaks. I cook my eggs in butter now or bacon fat. Ray Emmerich's protocol for keeping your muscle and losing more fat as you use it for fuel. Jennifer said, 38 weeks I raced hubs up and down the escalator. I never made it to the top because of laughing at 38 weeks pregnant. That's funny. But yeah, I try to make sure I get my protein in before anything. That's the only problem I found with an egg fast. I can't get enough protein. If you just do eggs, I was eating like 9, 10 eggs a day for 7 days. And I think the highest protein I got was like 80 grams every day, you know. And it was like, so I said, if I do it again, I'm going to incorporate keto chow for the extra protein. So it's like, why not? I could do that without mixing it with fat, because you get the fat from the eggs and just have a shake to boost up the protein. But
I've heard so many people say, like the opposition, they'll say, it's just not sustainable to eat that way. I totally think it is. And like
it
one of
is.
my driving factors, yeah, I want to heal. Yeah, I want to great blood sugar. Yeah, I want to lose my weight and keep it off. All those things. But I also just think like the thing that it doesn't make sense to me. Our ancestors didn't eat cereal. They didn't eat mac and cheese. And so that just it kind of makes me wonder like what does my body think when I'm putting this in there? So just it's like all the learning that we did kind of makes me not want to eat those things, at least not on a daily basis, but with my blood
Right.
sugar, probably never. But like, I let my kids eat some of those things, but it's like a couple times a month, maybe. We try to
Right.
primarily eat what our ancestors would have ate because I think that's how we're going to feel our best and be the least diseased.
Right. I could eat an entire carton of egg whites in a day. Now, I want the yolks too, because hey, how do you know how much protein to have? A lot of people say at least 100 grams of protein a day. And I've heard that a lot from many people. Dr. Barry, Two Crazy Ketos. What do you think, Adrian?
I've heard that you want 1 to 1 of your ideal body weight. And I mean, we don't really know what our ideal body weight is anymore. But then it gets a little ridiculous. Like if you think your ideal, well, I don't know. If your ideal body weight is 180 pounds and you eat 180 grams, I've totally eaten 220. So it's totally possible.
Mhm.
I don't know. I track because if I don't track, I gain weight. And I'm comfortable tracking. Tracking also tells me I didn't overeat. It tells me, oh, maybe you're hungry because you actually underate today. And then it's like, okay, for me right now, it's good data. It doesn't mess with me mentally, but I'm probably 130, 150 a day.
Mhm. But they do say, I have heard it. Yeah, Maria Emmerich has a calculator on her website. Excuse me.
I did her September challenge, and so I had been traveling all summer. That's what we do. My husband actually travels quite a bit for work. So in the summer, he takes all the projects he can on the road because that's where he makes the most money. And we just travel with him. So it was a lot of chaos. There wasn't tracking this summer. I felt I'm not going to say out of control, but way off balance. So I joined Maria's challenge in September, and it was a great reset. It made me full again. It got me eating meals again. It got me intermittent fasting again. So I don't mind her challenges. I just want to warn people that it's probably lower calorie than you're thinking.
Mhm. Evelyn said it'll give you regular everyday macros and then different macros for PSMF. Sean has to go. Thank you. He said, thank you, Adrian, for sharing your story. It's truly inspirational. Follow up to Amy's question. How do you know how many proteins you are eating? By tracking. You get I use my Fitness Pal. I don't know what you use. Chronometer. I can't. I didn't like it. And I used to track daily for like years. For the first probably the first 3.5 years, I tracked everything, every meal. And we usually eat 2 meals a day. And it was good because I had that to fall back on. It's like, if I put this much weight on, what did I eat? What am I doing different?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
good to have that record too.
I recently reverse tracked basically my cruise because every time I've gone on a cruise, I gained 10 pounds. So I just wanted to know, if I'm going to gain 10 pounds, what does that mean food wise? So I ended up eating 26 to 2,800 calories, which is honestly probably less than I eat previously because I didn't eat the pizza. I didn't eat the snacks. I was pretty good with my intermittent fasting, and I skipped breakfast. And I didn't gain any weight. But anyway, I love tracking. I use Carb Manager. I don't know why, I just like it. And I know people say chronometer is the most vetted, but I really like Carb Manager.
Yeah, that's like my Fitness Pal and Carb Manager are pretty close. And I tried Chronometer along with my Fitness Pal for about a week. They were coming up with just about the same results for macros. I'm like, so why are they saying this one is so much better than this one? But I was coming out with almost the exact same results. So it was like, I'm sticking to what I like.
Jennifer, you should go watch the latest Judy Cho video. She talks about oxalates. It's more towards the end. I don't know if you want to skip towards the end, but maybe you don't want to skip towards the end. But she talks about like people who say that they're oxalate dumping 2 years into, let's say, carnivore. And she talks about why she doesn't think that people are actually oxalate dumping that late if they're not consuming oxalates. Now, if you're consuming oxalates on a keto diet, it would still be probably, would it be low enough that your body could process it? Because our body can process some every day, or I guess it depends. I don't know. I don't know how many oxalates are in the keto diet. Are there a lot?
I don't pay attention to them. I eat mostly meat and stuff. But here's the link. I was looking that up. Here's the link for Judy Cho's latest video. So that's how I was doing. I was looking that up to get that about.
It was a good one, and her timing couldn't have been more perfect. As like, it was hard. We're moving into this place. This is the 6th time I've moved my family in 2 years. because every place we go I've been sick. And so this is the last move. I mean, after this, we would move back into a renovated home or a new home. We're renting this place. But I was questioning, you know, is your house that big of I mean, tons of people live in moldy homes. And then she posted that video, and I thought, maybe this is a God thing. Because she's like, no, it's very important. And when I went to Keto Palooza, I slept through the night, every night that I was there. At our townhome that we were just in, I've never slept through the night, not one time, not one time. I wake up at
Wow.
least 4 times a night.
Total daily energy expenditure. I don't know a lot of people that do that. I believe it's the key to getting off stalls. I don't do that either.
It's so hard to trick our body, and that's kind of where I'm struggling. I mean, because you kind of have to trick your body to lose weight because your body doesn't want to lose weight. So,
Mm.
you start with the deficit, your body lets go of it, then your body figures out what you're doing. It's on to you. It slows its metabolism down, so you eat more, but then you gain weight.
Yeah, you got to keep it guessing for sure because it gets used to
Yeah.
what you're doing. As I know eat carnivore, I meant the years before keto. And back to what she said, how much of that and household mildew issues caused many of her hurdles.
Mommy, I want to give.
Yeah, Judy's Cho says it's the two, or she talks about that.
Yeah, it looks like it's a pretty detailed video. All right,
She
Adrian,
is
I
so
am
good.
going to. I'm sorry.
She's so good, and she comes from such a place of love and research that's hard not to give value to what she says. I really adore
Right.
her.
Yes. These are my members, and I appreciate them all. But
Nancy.
yes, she's amazing. She had just ordered my husband and I. You know who Hope and Andy are at Mission Keto?
Okay.
They had just lost a lot in a fire. They were living in their RV and it caught fire. So my husband and I, we are. My husband makes coaster sets and cutting boards, and we have decided that we're going to help them out by every set that we sell. We're sending them X amount of dollars from every set. Nancy ordered a set for their of coasters and a cutting board for their Central Florida ketos people with their logo on it. So they're really cool. They came out good. They're actually on the way. So yeah.
That's amazing. Can you say again who it was? Hope and
Hope and Andy of Mission Keto.
Mission Keto. Okay, I'm gonna go look that up. That's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. But they're doing good. And so Lindy from Paleo Barbie does keto. She had started a GoFundMe page for them right away. Because I mean, that was their home. They were living in that. And lost most everything. So yeah, but we're helping them out as much as we can. And we'll do so for the next person that needs it. So that's been going pretty good. He's got a few orders going now that he's working on. But he's got like coasters. We've shown him on our live stream on Wednesdays. He's got coasters with Christmas scenes, Halloween scenes, custom coasters like we did. We're doing a set for Hope and Andy with their Mission Keto logo. And then who was it? Like we've customized them, like taken a Christmas scene and put the person's name on it. He uses a laser printer and does all this stuff. It's pretty cool.
It's amazing. My husband is just telling me that I need to get a job, jokingly, sort of. And he just recently purchased a CNC table that I can make stuff out of metal or wood.
Yeah.
So I guess I got to look into. I'm going to be your competition again. No, I'm just
There
kidding,
you go.
Cindy.
It's all good. It's all good.
I just need to figure out how to load 300-pound sheets of steel onto a big table, and then I'll be good to go.
I'll tell you, the person to check into is Sharon Holloway. That woman can do everything. Yep. But I am going to let you go for the night. It's almost 2
That's a lot
hours,
of chaos.
and it's been great. And I, the kids have been great. They're for that young, and holy mackerel, they've been
Now we're going to
really
have a
good.
dance party. We're going to have to turn the music up and let them burn energy because they had screen time, and that was out
Yeah.
of order. And yeah,
And
so
if you
I
ever
really
want them to go to
appreciate you
bed, yeah.
having me on. When is your next meetup, Cindy? Do you have another one planned?
The next one that no, not anymore this year. I went to a local meetup in Indiana in October. No, November 9th. We went there. We were at Keto Palooza, or I was. The next one is probably next May in Amo, Indiana. So it's pretty cool. Dustin, Jennifer Lucas, and Jackie organized that meetup. It's at a community center in Amo, Indiana. It's really nice. It's like $20 a person. They supply all the meat, and everybody brings a dish. It's pretty cool.
I love Karen Miles meetups. They're so good. It's kind of a bring your own so that
Mhm.
there's no cost just because that's just how she likes to do it, but it's also kind of cool of everybody kind of contributes something, and that's just so sweet.
Right.
I love that. I
Now,
don't have any
Amy,
meetups planned except for the cruise.
Amy has one in Mishawaka, December 8th.
Where's Mishawaka? That
Is it Indiana? She lives in
okay?
Indiana,
I was
northern
gonna say
Indiana,
that
I
sounds
believe.
like a Wisconsin city, except I live in I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's northern Indiana. I don't know. I know I can't make it, so it's a little bit too far. We've done 3.5 hour rides, to get to a meetup, and then just to turn around and go back home after, because we have a little dog that we have to get back home to. Just trying to go here. Thank you, ladies. Wonderful live. Good night, all. Good night, friends. Thank you both. Great live. Have a blessed night. Thank you, Kay. Praying and thank you. Night, everyone. Have an awesome weekend. And then she's talking about Amy. Thanks, Adrian. Cindy, thank you, Karen, for joining us. Northern Indiana. That's where it is. That's what I thought. Good night, everyone. Good night. Good live tonight. Thank you, Jerry, and thanks for coming. But Adrian, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Your story is just incredible, from years ago with The Biggest Loser to all the health issues you've had and are conquering those. And I am just so stinking proud to have met you, and thank you so much. And what a cutie. He just
Thank you for having me. Everybody have a great night. Good night.
yeah, you too, hon. And thank everyone in the chat for coming. You all have a great night.